From Royal Communications Incorporated, good evening and welcome to King's Newsroom, a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Today's Monday, June 30th, 2025, and Newton took part presenting. Stories we follow in this evening. The University of Liberia announces Master and PhD programs in Gender and Security Studies, says July 3rd as official launch of the programs. National Custom Broker of Liberia terms National Legislature passage of Liberian Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act as direct burden for importers, exporters, and shipping lines. Liberia Council of Churches calls for a holistic fight against corruption. LCC Secretary General Reverend Christopher Toh says all accused officials must be treated with equal respect, dignity to ensure impartial justice and fairness. And away from Liberia, civil rights groups say at least 7 people have been killed during a crackdown on protesters who are calling on Togo's leader Farouk Ghassanibi to step down and release political prisoners. At least 20 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli airstrike that hit a popular seafront cave frequently used by activists, journalists, and local residents in western Gaza on Monday, according to medics and eyewitnesses. These, plus the news bulletin, international developments in our package. We'll take a very short break to be right back. Thanks for rejoining us. At this juncture, we join Sam Andrews with the news bulletin.
The University of Liberia has announced plans to offer master and PhD programs in gender and security studies. In an official release issued Monday, the university disclosed that the programs will aim to provide advanced academic and professional opportunities for individuals working or aspiring to work in gender and security related fields. According to the university, the programs will be officially launched on July 10 and will be housed under the College of Gender Studies and Interdisciplinary Research. The statement added that the program will foster research and dialogue around gender equality, human rights, national and global security challenges. As part of the launch activities, the University of Liberia has scheduled an inaugural lecture which will serve as a platform to introduce academic framework and highlight the importance of gender-sensitive approach in security studies, among others. The National Custom Broker of Liberia has criticized the National Legislature recent passage of the Liberia Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act. Addressing a press conference Monday, NCBL President James Hine accused the legislature of passing the act without seeking the knowledge or participation of businesses, including stakeholders that are essential to Liberian trade. Mr. Hine questioned the motive behind the passage, pointing out Section 306 of the Act, which introduces additional fees that will directly burden importers, exporters, shipping lines, among others. According to Mr. Hine, the government using the legislation to introduce new financial burden of businesses rather alleviating challenges faced across the country. The Liberia Council of Churches has challenged the Bwaka government to ensure a holistic fight against acts of corruption and respect every citizen's rights regardless of being accused of corruption. The Secretary General of the Liberia Council of Churches, Reverend Christopher Toh, said the council is aware of recent legal actors involving former and current government officials over allegation of corruption and other offenses. Addressing a press conference in Monrovia, Pastor Toh noted that a body rooted in faith, justice, and peace, the council will at all times speak with clarity, care, and conviction. He stated that despite the council supports the government's duty to fight corruption and ensure justice, such must be done with absolute fairness. Pastor Christopher Toh further mentioned that every person accused is innocent until proven guilty, adding that the government is under obligation to treat everyone with dignity and respect. The Liberal Council of Churches is appealing to the court's lawyers and security personnel to exercise neutrality, care, and transparency in the ongoing corruption case. The council also frowned at using the law for politics or personal motive, demanding that every step be guided by truth and guided by what is just and right in the fight against corruption. The Asset Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force has confirmed the discovery of more than 40 new suspected corruption cases across Liberia. The institution's latest disclosure followed days after the arrest of former Foreign Affairs Minister D. Matsukimaya and several other former officials of the WIA administration accused of allegedly misappropriating over 25,000 bags of 25 kg rice intended for vulnerable Liberians. Speaking Monday on state radio, the chairman of the task force, Councillor Edwin Martin, disclosed that the cases range from theft of government properties to diversion of public funds for personal gain. He stated that the task force has gathered substantial evidence linking the suspects to what he described as systematic looting of national resources. Councillor Martin further revealed that 26 active cases of alleged public fund theft are currently under investigation. He emphasized the arrests are imminent and those found culpable will face the full weight of the law. The Assets Recovery Team chairman reiterated that the anti-corruption drive is non-discriminatory, contrary to public perception. A Liberian businessman, colleague Gay has emphasized the importance of government investing in early childhood education, describing it as the foundational step toward national development. Serving as guest speaker at the Nimlin Brothers Preparatory School on Butcher Island, Gege called on parents and guardians to prioritize their children's education over material things. According to him, children represent the future of every society and must be equipped through quality education to meaningfully contribute to national growth. He also cautioned against the growing trend of purchasing seasonal material items for children as gifts, noting that those gifts only provide temporary satisfaction but do little to prepare young people for the realities of life. Steel giant ArcelorMittal is expected to appear before the House of Representatives committees on investment and concession Tuesday, July 1, for former concession compliance hearing. The House of Representatives, among other things, is requesting ArcelorMittal Liberia to present a comprehensive financial report covering its operations in Liberia over the past 5 years. According to the House Public Affairs, the hearing is being organized in close collaboration with the committees on lands, mines, energy, natural resource, environment, and labor. The hearing will focus on ArcelorMittal Liberia compliance with its Mineral Development Agreement. The House of Representatives has also requested the concession company to submit all relevant documents in support of its presentation before or on the day of the hearing. Recently, there's been mounting public calls after Nima County Legislative Caucus accused ArcelorMittal Liberia of falling short on key components of its Mineral Development Agreement. The Chief Executive Officer of Cable Consortium has offered to provide 1-month-long career training for young adults in the United Methodist Church. Nathaniel Kelvin said the training is necessary because it will assist the youth in preparing for the future as they head the church and the country in the absence of the current generation. Kevin made the offer of 1-month-long career training for youth of the United Methodist Church when he was honored as Father of the Year by the United Methodist Men Organization of the District Conference at a worship service at First United Methodist Church in Monrovia Sunday. The African Media Network, in collaboration with the Association of Like-Minded Women Network, has called on the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission to investigate the outgoing management team at the Liberia Agriculture, Commodity and Regulatory Authority in order to ascertain the reasons behind their suspension by President Joseph Boakai. The executive director of the network, Prince Grado, said, "It is surprising to see that the managing director and his deputy for administration suspended by President Barker just 3 weeks after he praised them for being the best performing agency." Addressing a press conference in Monrovia, Mr. Grando pointed out that the speedy investigation of the LACRA boss by LACRA, by LACC, needed so as to clear their names and determine whether they embezzle funds or not. The Director of Communication at the National Food Assistance Agency, Wester Young, is calling on parents to double up their roles in the upbringing of their children, stating that there are a lot of things resulting to children going astray. According to him, parents must be able to play a role worthy of emulating in order to bring their children in a way that will benefit the community and the country. The Supreme Court of Liberia will on July 1 entertain legal arguments into the high-profile case involving former Finance and Development Planning Minister Samuel Twe and 4 others after 4 months of rest. In 2024, the government indicted the officials for allegedly embezzling over 6 million United States dollars and billions of Liberian dollars. A notice of assignment issued by the court on June 24th demanded party lawyers to appear before the full bench for the argument on Tuesday, July 1. Prior to the court's decision, Associate Justice Shannon Clinton Johnson stopped defendant Twe and others' corruption case at Criminal Court C after the defendant's lawyer, Councillor Arthur Johnson, filed a petition for a writ of prohibition. Councillor Johnson's request to the Supreme Court questioned prosecuting lawyers' indictment, saying that his clients were wrongfully implicated to allegedly stealing over 6 million United States dollars and billions of Liberian dollars. Meanwhile, some lawyers have begun questioning Chief Justice Shannon Yo's assignment of former Finance and Development Planning Minister Samuel Twe and 4 others' corruption case. They argue that on June 26, Chief Justice Yo reached the retirement age of 70, consistent with Article 72B of the Constitution. As such, the legal provision prevents her from hearing new cases except for rendering judgment in proceedings entertained by her before she attained the age of 70. According to them, Chief Justice Shannon Yo's action is a ground for any of the parties to seek for her recusal from the high-profile case. Chief Justice Yo has since vowed to hold on to power until the closure of the Supreme Court in August, despite turning age 70 on June 26. And Prison Fellowship Liberia has strongly condemned the increasing wave of mysterious deaths, including the recent murder of a Liberian-Canadian woman by unknown men along the Monrovia-Rivers Highway. The fellowship country director, Pastor Francis Scully, appealed to the Liberia National Police to leave no stone unturned in the investigation of the alarming deaths. He at the same time applauded President Boakai for recently suspending some government officials who are allegedly accused of corruption. Prison Fellowship Liberia country director made the comments during an engagement with like-minded women in Painesville over the weekend.
Sam Andrews there with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a record featured here on King's News Bro. What if you just joining us a reminder, you listen to King's News Bro, a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Today is Monday, June 30th, 2025, and I'm Newton Tokbar presenting. Stories we following this evening. University of Liberia announces master and PhD programs in Gender and Security Studies, sets July 3rd as official launch of the programs. National Custom Broker of Liberia terms. National Legislature passage of Liberia Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act as direct burden for importer and exporters and shipping lines. Liberia Council of Churches calls for holistic fight against corruption. LCC Secretary General Reverend Christopher Toll says all accused officials must be treated with equal respect and dignity to ensure impartial justice and fairness. Away from Liberia, civic rights groups said at least 7 people have been killed during a crackdown on protesters who had calling for Toko's leader to step down and release political prisoners. At least 20 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli airstrike that hit a popular seafront cave frequently used by activists, journalists, and local residents in western Gaza on Monday, according to medics and eyewitnesses. These plus many more. But we'll take a very short break and we'll come back. We'll bring you the voices of the newsmakers. Thanks for rejoining us and welcome back. And our first development here this evening, the National Custom Broker of Liberia has sharply criticized the National Legislature's recent passage of the Liberian Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act. Addressing a press conference Monday, NCB President James Heenan accused the legislature of passing the act without seeking the knowledge or participation of business, including stakeholders that are essential to Liberian trade. Heenan questioned the motive behind the passage, pointing out Section 306 of the act, which introduces additional fees that will directly burden importers, exporters, and shipping lines.
Association of Liberia, the NCBAL, would like to express deep shock and disappointment regarding the recent passage of the Liberian Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act by the National Legislature. This critical legislation was passed without the knowledge or participation of the businesses that are essential to the Liberian trade. Stakeholder consultation is a cornerstone of sound and inclusive policy making. The absence of such engagement not only undermines confidence in the legislative process, but also raises serious concern about the sustainability and effectiveness of the law itself. We wonder if the motive is genuine. We are particularly alarmed by Section 306 of the Act, which introduces additional fees that will directly burden importers, exporters, shipping lines, and ultimately the Liberian consumer. Below are our specific concerns regarding key provisions. Section 306(1). The agency shall determine and collect regulatory fees from stakeholders for continual port development. The imposition of additional fees at each seaport will heighten transaction costs for businesses, placing an increased financial burden on stakeholders. There shall be a fee for each arriving sea craft paid over the agency. New vessel charges will likely discourage ship owners from bringing their ships to Liberia, resulting in fewer vessels and increased freight rates. Section 306(4). The agency shall collect charges from port operations and other entities necessary for financing the agency budget. This provision, which requires Liberia businesses to form the budget of another government entity contradict efforts aimed at lowering the cost of doing business in Liberia.
He's the National Custom Broker of Liberia, President James Hine, there speaking. The Assets Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force has confirmed the discovery of more than 40 new suspected corruption cases across Liberia. The institution's latest disclosure followed days after the arrest of former Foreign Minister D. Maswell Sakimian and several other former officials of the Weird administration accused of allegedly misappropriating over 25,000 bags of 25 kg rice intended for vulnerable Liberians. Speaking to State Radio on Monday, the chairman of the task force, Councillor Edwin Clark Martin, disclosed that the cases range from theft of government property to the diversion of public funds for personal gains.
We have identified 40 suspicious properties. We are now evaluating the sold. We are evaluating the owners because we're also going to detail here, tell you what obtained and how the properties were gotten. Some people will jump in the street, but we won't do that. The outcome of our investigation will be shown to the Liberian people. And we're made to also even say that some of the bank accounts that we have identified, the millions of United States dollars that are part, the Liberian people will jump in the street. But we wouldn't say that until the result and the subsequent legal process is sold. But by and large, I'm not trying to say that there's a strange thing in our country that the president initiated. It has never happened before. Tracing stolen assets is a strange thing in our country. And this public forum is to make the Liberian people to understand and to comprehend that what we are doing it in the interest of the country. I'm taking serious risk with my life. I'm taking risk for the life of my family because of the country. The job that we do, highly risky job. But because of the country, and we believe that someone has to make the sacrifice. Or not make the sacrifice for someone to take my life, but someone has to make the sacrifice, at least for history to remember that, look, our part of the process to transform Liberia from this point to this point. And when you work in anti-corruption terrain, it gives you a third eye to see. What I would see in this country when it comes to corruption investigation, you will not have because we are trained. We had the opportunity to be trained in West Africa and in some part of Paris, and even went to the UK to have the opportunity. So where I'm seated personally, I think I'm properly situated to understand and to bring to light and to set a checkpoint and to establish deterrence for the prevention of corruption and the prevention of stolen public access.
He's the chairman of the Assets Recovery and Property Retrieval Task Force, Councillor Clark Martin is speaking. A Liberian businessman, colleague Gege, has emphasized the importance of government investing in early childhood education, describing it as a fundamental step toward national development. Serving as guest speaker at the Nimble Brothers Preparatory School on Bushra Island, Gege called on parents and guardians to prioritize their children's education over material things. According to him, children represent the future of every society. Therefore, they must be equipped through quality education to meaningfully contribute to national growth and transformation.
This message is not just going to the students. This message is also going to our parents. Please bring up the child in a way where, especially in this dispensation, that person will not be a burden to you. You will have no exercise. Rather, so they can be happy in your early days. That particular sacrifice start now. So keep moving forward as a parent. Keep moving. Keep talking to your child. Keep talking to your children. To acquire private education. Only education can take you to where your parents have never been. Education is pointless. Anyone can go to carry anyone. If you have acquired education today in a period, you don't have to carry books like your brother. You have learned from while you're serving as a student. What will the knowledge acquired through your high school journey? You can serve the country in the world as one who has acquired private education in a period. Education has to keep learning, keep moving forward, keep expressing the independence when it comes to education in our country. With that, Liberia will be a better place. We not use foreign nationals to come and have educational knowledge to be imparted in our children of tomorrow. Today, we are here speaking. Tomorrow we may be able to speak the conscience of you. So my advice for you as a child, follow the footsteps of Mr. Gege, who give up as an offering, like me at Tower, you also go water. So deep bread, and the time for deep bread is to be $20. Each $100 it means $20 profit on the cover road. And I didn't see that part of life to be difficult because I never have mother, I never have father. But independently and first I come to be meaningful society. In a period, if you have never made yourself meaningful, you will never be spoken about. No one will explain your story anywhere that you cannot make yourself meaningful. So please, now waste your time because you don't have people to support you. You can support yourself whatever the devil that you want to support yourself. With that, you can succeed and be whatever person you want to be.
He's a Liberian businessman, Koli Gege, there speaking when he served as guest speaker at the Nimley Brothers Preparatory School on the Bush Road Island. Still joining ArcelorMittal Liberia is expected to appear before the House of Representatives Joint Committees on Investment and Construction Tuesday, July 1st for formal construction compliance hearing. The House of Representatives, among other things, is requesting AML to present a comprehensive financial report covering its operations in Liberia over the past 5 years. According to the House's Bureau of Press and Public Affairs, the hearing has been organized in close collaboration with the Committees on Lands, Mines, Energy, Natural Resources, and Environment and Labor. The hearing will focus on ArcelorMittal Liberia's compliance with its Mineral Development Agreement. The House of Representatives has also requested the construction company to submit all relevant documentation in support of its presentation before or on the day of the hearing. Recently, there has been mounting public calls after Nima County Legislative Caucus accused AML of falling short on key components of its Mineral Development Agreement. Nima County Senator Yan Toin, who made the allegations, vowed to lead an uncompromising campaign against AML to ensure the company live up to its Mineral Development Agreement and remain compliant to its social corporate responsibility.
It is my solemn duty as Senator of the people of Nimba to speak clearly, without fear, about the glaring failure of ArcelorMittal in honoring both the letter and spirit of its obligation. I issue this statement to address critical concerns regarding ArcelorMittal Liberia's failure to comply with key provisions of the amended Mineral Development Agreement of 2007. Since the inception of the NDA, the people of Nimba, especially those directly affected in the directly affected concession area, have waited in vain for meaningful improvement in their lives, while AML has continued its lucrative mining operations and boasting of $1.4 billion infrastructure expansion aimed at upgrading its oil before export, while our people continue to endure substandard living conditions and broken premises. The following are unequivocal breaches of the Mineral Development Agreement and undelivered social corporate responsibility by AML. 1. Failure to improve the lives of people within the concession area. AML has failed to improve the socio-economic conditions of communities within its operational footprint. Despite being in Nima for more than 2 decades, the people in and around Ikepa live without basic amenities and face hardship, contradicting the expectation of shared benefits from natural resource extraction. The company has made little effort to restore and upgrade housing facilities in Ikepa, leaving our once beautiful town dilapidated and lying in ruins, while billions are taken from its soil.
Meanwhile, Nima County District 7 Representative Musa Hassan Beliti publicly backed Senator Tonyan stance against AML and called on individuals who are members of the caucus to avoid interfering into concerns raised by the caucus, which reflect the interest of the locals and Liberia at large.
Nima is a free place, it's a free space, but the fight for our people to get what they deserve, nobody in Nimba outside of the legislative caucus, the legitimate representative of the people, can say yes, everything, or of course, no, everything is not. When I agree, I'm telling you, you know, Nimba is the most democratic place. We have politically inclined. We can talk. Other people can come here and say Medasti is coming from heaven. They have done everything, but that is their right. What we know is that that deal, we will not accept it unless we are sure it's good for our people. You don't think, but now, as the representative of the people, we should be a praise of it so that we can make our import. Okay? They sweep it under the carpet deliberately in the heat of politics. 2029, when every lawmaker is only focused now on their survival, they will bring it and dump it all. When I agree, if media still want a solution, we will find a solution. If the executive wants a solution, we'll find it. A solution that will exclude the involvement of the caucus and some very prominent Nimbayans that we think should be sitting down on that technical committee. Oh, yes, people with institutional knowledge should be there. We have good people that can sit on the floor. Take, for instance, the former Chief Justice, right? He's on the international board of what role is he playing in it? They have not. He doesn't even know nothing about anything. They don't. He has not. We
His Nimba County District 7 Representative Musa Hassan Beletit. Earlier, you heard the voice of Nimba County Senator Toyan speaking. What if you just joining us with the time half past the hour? A reminder you listen to the King's Newsroom, a 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. Stories will follow in this evening. The University of Liberia announces master and PhD programs in gender and security studies, sets July 3rd as official launch of the program. National Custom Broker of Liberia terms National Legislature passage of Liberian Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act as direct burden for exporters, importers, and shipping lines. Liberian Council of Churches calls for holistic fight against corruption. The LCC Secretary General Reverend Christopher Toh says all accused officials must be treated with equal respect and dignity to ensure impartial justice and fairness. Away from Liberia, civil rights groups said at least 7 people have been killed during a crackdown on protesters who had called in for Togo's leader to step down and release political prisoners. At least 20 Palestinians were killed in Israeli airstrike that hit a popular seafront cape frequently used by activists, journalists, and local residents in the western Gaza on Monday, according to medics and eyewitnesses. We'll take another break. We'll come back. We'll continue with more voices on the program. Welcome back. And on this one down, the Chief Executive Officer at the Cable Consortium has offered to provide 1 month long career training for young adults in the United Methodist Church in August this year. Nathaniel Kelvin said the training is necessary because it would assist the youth in preparing for the future as they would head the church and the country in the absence of the current generation. Kelvin made the offer of 1 month long career training for youths of the United Methodist Church when he was honored and such as Father of the Year by the United Methodist Men Organization of the Moravia District Conference at the worship service held at the First United Methodist Church in Moravia on Sunday.
I'm putting to you today is that in the month of August, I'm going to take 22 days in the month of August, and every youth and young adults in the United Methodist Church or outside of the United Methodist Church, we will assemble each day. We will cater to our youth and our young adults. Those 22 days going to bring devotions, Bible studies, career path, sporting events. We're going to keep our young people, the future of this church, the future of this country. If we don't start to recognize that fact, they will cross the street. Think about it. And when you do, it costs you more to bring them back. I want to challenge all the fathers of this year, and if possible, subsequent years, that we dedicate the August month as mentorship month. I'm trying now to negotiate for J.J. Robert High School, because they're on vacation, for us to have this 22-day program, Monday to Friday. We're going to bring career professionals, ministers, gospel ministers, health practitioners to talk to our young people. Anything from how you prevent illnesses, how to be healthy. We're going to keep them together so that they can know when they look at each other, they see you will be my partner when I become a president of this country tomorrow. That's what we need to do.
He's the Chief Executive Officer at the Cable Consortium, Nathaniel Kelvin, they're speaking. The African Media Network, in collaboration with the Association of Like-Minded Women Network, has called on Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission to investigate the outgoing management team at the Liberia Agricultural Commodity and Regulatory Authority in order to ascertain the reasons behind their suspension by President Joseph Boakai. The executive director of the network, Prince Grando, said, "It is surprising to see that the managing director and his deputy for administration to be suspended by President Joseph Boakai just 3 weeks after he praised them for the best performing agency is worrisome." Addressing a press conference in Monrovia, Grando pointed out that a speedy investigation by the LDCC is needed so as to clear their names and determine the embezzle any fund from the entity.
We have gathered here today to address the recent developments surrounding the Liberia Agricultural Commodity Regulatory Authority and its Director General, Mr. Christopher D. Sangolo, as well as his Deputy Director General for Administration and Finance, Mr. Chie D. Gali. I'm there in collaboration with the Association of Like-Minded Women Network of Liberia, expresses strong concern over the suspension of Mr. Christopher Sankoro, Director General of the Liberia Agricultural Commodity Regulatory Authority, LACRA for short, on allegation of financial irregularity. As many of you are aware, including you members of the press, President Joseph Boakai Sr. earlier this month awarded LACRA 2 distinct certificates, barely 3 weeks after the award. Especially in this light, we note that this suspension was enacted without a credible audit report. We consider it as very harsh, and the action was very excessive. We urge the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission to conduct a thorough, transparent, and prompt investigation into the allegation against Mr. Sangolo, record at LACRA, who believe it provides an opportunity for him to be clear of the reported allegation.
He's the executive director of African Media Network, Prince Grando. They're speaking. The director of communication at the National Food Assistance Agency, Webster Yam, is calling on parents to double up their roles in the upbringing of their children, stating that there are a lot of things resulting children to go astray. According to him, parents must be able to play a role worthy of emulating in order to bring their children in a way that will benefit the community and the country at large. Young Media section, where he delivered a keynote speech marking the graduation and closing program of the Meritia Elementary and Junior High School in Town in the Bannersville community during the weekend.
We all have a role to play in the education of our children. Just as how we expect our students to come out with flying colors to make us proud, we ourselves owe it to ourselves to play our part. All that is displayed here today before our eyes is a feedback that we should get, and then we put in corrective measures if there's anything that we're not satisfied with. And for the future to bring something good for our schoolboy children, we have to play our role. The parents, those of us parents, we know that the students have just small time to be in the classroom. You students will have few hours to be in the classroom. And after the classroom, you go back to your home. And it is the duty of us parents to guide them. You know, because the education we want to get, education centers around skill acquisition, you get skill. Education centers around knowledge, and education centers around character traits. These three things I'm talking about. It is our duty as parents to also contribute to the upbringing of our children. As we got a character trait, it's part of education. You know, today most of our big people that get master's degree, that get BSc, they don't have place to work, largely because a part of the education that is important to them is to have gotten the very day.
Well, on that notice, I would like to go home on this edition of King's News, Broom, the 45 minutes news presentation about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of the world. But just before we go home, let's remind you of stories we've been following. The University of Liberia announces Master and PhD programs in Gender and Security Studies, says July 3rd as official launch of the program. National Custom Broker of Liberia terms National Legislature passage of Liberian Sea and Inland Port Regulatory Act has direct burden for importers and exporters and shipping lines. Liberia Council of Churches calls for holistic fight against corruption. LCC Secretary General Reverend Christopher Toh says all accused officials must be treated with equal respect and dignity to ensure impartial justice and fairness. Away from Liberia, civil rights groups said at least 7 people have been killed during a crackdown on protesters who are calling on Togo's leader to step down and release political prisoners. And at least 20 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli airstrike that hit a popular seafront cave frequently used by activists, journalists, local residents in Western Gaza on Monday, calling to medics and eyewitnesses. Sam Andrews brought us the news bulletin. I would like to say many thanks to all of our reporters, correspondents, news editors who helped in making this package. Associates, my name is Newton Tukba. I presented this edition of the program. Thanks for listening and watching. Bye-bye. Good evening.